What's up, friends? Millie Peartree here in the Food 52 kitchen. I'm here to take you behind the recipe on another childhood favorite, red beans and rice. I think that you should always soak your beans. You will have some serious tummy issues if you don't. You can totally make this recipe without soaking them. And again, I wouldn't recommend using canned beans because we wouldn't get the full flavor. This is one of those recipes that I don't think that it should be rushed, and sometimes flavor comes from a slow and low process. So 4 hours up to overnight, countertop, cool, dry place, or in the refrigerator. So now we have our beans soaked for the minimum of 4 hours. And we're gonna leave it in this water because we're actually gonna cook with this water as well. Now we're gonna saute our sausage. I have a little bit of oil. Gonna add it to the bottom of our Dutch oven. And I have some andouille sausage here. You could totally use kielbasa. Any smoked sausage will do. So we're adding the sausage first because we're gonna brown this. And we're just developing layers of flavor. So if you want to saute the vegetables first, you could totally do that. But I like to do it this way because I like to add the seasonings to the vegetables so all of that gets toasty and warm together. So I've eaten many different versions of red beans and rice. I really can't pinpoint the first time I had it. Maybe the first time I had it was in my household. My mom always made big pots of beans. I grew up eating a lot of lima beans and neck bones, but this is delicious. I want to say the first time I had it was maybe Popeyes. But don't quote me on that. There's so many different variations of red beans and rice. Many people associate red beans and rice with New Orleans. I spoke with my friend Marisol. She's a food historian. And Marisol is gonna talk you through how red beans and rice arrived in New Orleans. Marisol, I want you to tell me all the things that you know about red beans and rice.
We're going to be talking about red kidney beans. What I can tell you is something that a lot of people do not know, is the connection between the red beans and rice of Louisiana, New Orleans, and the Caribbean. New Orleans is my favorite American city because it's the most closely related to my hometown, Santiago de Cuba, in eastern Cuba. I remember the first time I was there, walking down the narrow streets of the French Quarter, I was looking for Frenchness, but I found Caribbean-ness after the Haitian Revolution, was it 1791? During that period, thousands and thousands of people from Haiti moved to my hometown, Santiago de Cuba. And then in 1809, there was a Napoleonic War happening and the Spanish expelled those French people who did not want to become Spanish citizens. And with people came foodways. Thousands of those people ended up in New Orleans. I'm talking about 10,000 people, doubling the population of New Orleans. And the love for red kidney beans and rice came with those people.
Mm-hmm. I rendered some extra fat out of our meat. I browned it, and now I'm gonna take it out. And after I take this out, I'm gonna add our Holy Trinity. Not to be confused with mirepoix, Holy Trinity is a combination of onions, green bell peppers, and celery. But if you wanna use a mirepoix and add some carrots to it, feel free. The beautiful thing about recipes is you can make it your own. So I have a Vidalia onion, nice and sweet, green bell peppers, and some celery. We're just gonna saute our peppers and onions until they're translucent. Even in this stage right now, I'm actually gonna add my spices in because I wanna toast my spices. It's called blooming. They open it up and it adds such flavor to this dish. Some cayenne pepper, some Cajun seasoning, some dried basil, and fresh cracked black pepper. So this will go for about maybe 3 to 5 minutes. So now that we have our mirepoix sauteed, I'm gonna add some garlic, a couple bay leaves, just until I smell the garlic. Couple seconds. And now my nose is telling me we're ready for our beans and our water. So my heat right now, when I was sauteing, was on a medium, but now I'm gonna turn it up. I'm gonna bring it up to a boil, and I'm gonna bring it back down to a simmer, and then we're gonna let it go for about 2 hours. But before I do that, I'm gonna add my sausage back. Listen, red beans and rice is such a comforting dish. You can eat it any day of the week. Let's see what Marisol had to say about the history behind red beans and rice and when people enjoyed it.
But it all goes back, if you think of it, the Taino Indians who cultivated common beans, the native food of the Arawaks, the Taino Indians, that the Africans embraced. And rice, of course, who was the labor force for rice cultivation was African because they had the know-how. Rice and beans and rice is a staple for the plantations who are the women cooking in aristocratic houses or wealthy houses, African women. Red beans and rice is a Monday tradition. In New Orleans, the folklorists say that Monday was a wash day in New Orleans, and you could leave a pot of beans on the stove while you took care of the wash. That's it's kind of a urban legend in New Orleans. But for us, it's daily food. I can make a mean pot of beans in my pressure cooker, but I don't do it. So I like to look at the changes. Transformation of those beans. That for me is magic, and I would not try to do it faster because I think that slow cooking is the way to go.
Our beans have been going for about 2 hours now. They smell absolutely delicious. Right now, I'm gonna take out about a cup of beans or so. We're gonna mash it, because as you see, it's a little bit liquidy in texture, but when you add the mashed beans back in, it has like this smooth, delicious flavor, and it also tightens up this liquid a little bit more. So if you like a looser texture of your red beans and rice, omit this. Like if you wanna have it like a soup, you can do that, but I've always had it this way, and this is the way my mom did it. I think it's kind of traditional too, right? Just mashing up a little bit of the beans. This is an interesting enough step, but I remember when I was speaking to Marisol about the way she likes to eat her beans and the different ways that beans are served with rice. I think that you guys should hear a little bit more about that, so let's throw one over to her.
I think pork and beans, it's a combination that, that everybody enjoys. Africans enjoyed it, and the Spaniards did too. So there's a community of ideas here, cross-cultural similarities that merge in the making of a dish. And if you look at all the versions that we have of red kidney beans, in terms of, stew soups, you will see pork, whether it's ham hocks or sausages, Spanish sausage, chorizo. That combination of the beans and the pork is almost omnipresent.
I love it.
And sometimes we cook the rice and the beans together. And in my hometown and region, we call it congri. But that's also, it comes from Haiti. It's pois Congo, which are, pigeon peas, and rice, riz in French. So it's congri. So these are the two ways in which we like the red kidney beans.
So now I'm gonna pull out my bay leaves. It's almost time to eat. So we have to finish it with some stuff, right? So I have some scallions. I love some green onions and some parsley, because why not? I'm gonna give it one more mix. Green onions and parsley add some brightness to it. I just like to finish all my dishes with some fresh herbs. It's just a personal preference. This is the part where we're gonna taste our beans. See if it needs a little bit more seasoning. Needs a little salt. It was great on spice. Give it one more taste. Good. Little scoop of rice. Right in the middle. So all you need is a little bit go a long way. And of course, in Millie fashion, extra scallions and hot sauce. I like hot sauce on mine. Totally optional. I'm not gonna talk. We're gonna eat. I'm excited. Red beans and rice. Damn, that's good. So one thing I like about this recipe is the beans aren't mushy. They have a nice texture to it, a nice firm, slight bite, but it's very creamy from mashing the beans. We have the smokiness from the sausage, the brightness from the scallions, and that little bit of rice that brings it home. And of course, you guys know I like spice. Listen, I'm definitely gonna tell you, I recommend this dish. You can find this recipe at Food 52, and make sure you continue to create those happy and joyful memories through food. Because you eat this.